The topic of this video is both timely and personal. See, I've had female clients reach out and share with me that they don't feel comfortable expressing themselves fully because they feel they won't be taken seriously or they were told not to speak up as a child. And I've had men reach out to me and say they don't feel confident enough to share their thoughts for fear of being wrong or being criticized. And I've had both men and women reach out and share with me their hesitations about expressing their emotions or preferences out of fear of rejection. Is this something that you can relate to? If so, please drop a comment. I'd love to get to know what you're working through, and it always helps to know what my audience is up to. So I can relate to this. I can absolutely relate to the feeling of wanting to say something in the moment that it matters most in a professional setting or intimate one-on-one conversations. And despite my urge to do so, my nerves would kick in. I would feel my throat closing up and my voice would go silent. Even if I wanted to, I just couldn't get it out. And when it mattered most, I would sit there in silence, unable to speak. Decades later, I have stood on very public stages with very large audiences or closed-door sessions with world and business leaders on issues that would impact millions of lives. And as scary as it was, and as scary as it still is sometimes, I'm here right now speaking to you through this wonderful platform of YouTube. So if I am capable of finding my voice from a scared child, unable to read aloud in his second grade classroom without stuttering through the page, to speaking to you right now and whoever else is watching on YouTube, then I know you can make an incredible transformation too. So in this video, I'll share with you the 4 specific steps I took and still take to this day to overcome a fear of expression. I hope the lessons here will inspire you to take the steps to reclaim your voice because it matters. And if this topic resonates with you, go ahead and hit the like and subscribe button. I would love to welcome you into the Now I Rise community, where every week we discuss a topic that will help you reveal your absolute potential. Let's begin. I once read a quote that was attributed to President Abraham Lincoln, but since then I've learned that it actually comes from a poem by Ella Wilcox, published in 1915. And the opening lines of this poem read, "To sin by silence makes cowards of men. To sin by silence." When I first read these words, they became etched in my memory. It's exactly what I needed to hear. And I took the quote and I actually rewrote it as a mantra. And that mantra was, never let silence be your greatest sin. In other words, what you have to say is so important. It is so valuable that if you don't express it, you will be robbing yourself of the opportunity to express your needs. If this is a conversation with a loved one, you rob them of an opportunity to remedy a wrong or to support you in the way that you need to be supported. If this is a professional or social setting, you rob your community or the world of great insight and value that you have to offer. If you have a question and you're not asking it out of fear of looking stupid or looking incompetent, whatever the reason is, you rob others of clarification that might have been useful. Maybe your role in each room that you enter into is to help elevate the thought with your input. And if you don't speak up, your gift will remain forever hidden and undelivered. And that, to me, is a great tragedy. There is a time for silence, but if the silence is the result of your fear, then you've surrendered your purpose to fear. Your voice and your purpose are interconnected in this way. See, to sin in the biblical sense, whether we take the Old Testament Hebrew or the New Testament Greek, was to miss the mark or to fail in one's purpose. This was the original meaning. Right now we have this whole like fire, hell, and brimstone connotation to it, but the original meaning was to miss the mark or to fail in your purpose. So the mantra that I came up with, never let silence be your greatest sin, takes on new meaning now, right? It can be read as, never let silence be the reason you fail in your purpose. Let me tell you a story. When God chose Moses to lead the Hebrew slaves out of Egypt and towards freedom in the promised land, Moses' response was surprising when I first read it. He was afraid. And he protested his own appointment, saying, Lord, I'm not very good with words. I never have been, and I'm not now. Even though you have spoken to me, I get tongue-tied and my words get tangled. He went on to express his hesitation and pleaded with God. How can he speak to the Pharaoh, the most powerful man in the world in his day, when his own people wouldn't listen to him? And yet he went on to directly challenge the Pharaoh with a strong voice and lead his people to freedom, becoming one of the greatest lawgivers of history. Let my people go. You needed to have a strong voice to say that to Pharaoh. Moses' triumph was in part possible because he overcame his fear of speaking. He overcame fear when he chose his God-given purpose and believed in that and the aid of divine love to meet all his needs as he carried out his purpose more than he did the fear. He believed in that more than he did the fear. He didn't let silence become his greatest sin, because if he had, who knows what the fate of his people would have been? We probably would never have heard of Moses today. Now I'll share with you 4 specific steps I've taken and still take to this day so that I can overcome any hesitation when it comes to expressing myself clearly, fully, and confidently. Number 1, put yourself in situations where you will get practice doing what you find uncomfortable. So when I was in college, I would sign up for all these clubs and leadership roles. Even though I had no business doing so, I would show up to any speaking opportunity I got at the time. I was nervous as heck doing so, but it gave me the opportunity to speak on issues that were important to me, and there were incredibly cringe moments every time I did it. But you know what? It doesn't matter because nobody remembers those cringe moments. And as long as I learned the lessons from those cringe moments, I got better and better each time. So take the opportunity to practice whenever you can. So after college, I still had some social anxiety to overcome. For example, I just had a very difficult time talking with strangers. So as a social experiment to help me overcome my fears here, I got a job as a waiter. So I had my full-time job during the day, but at night, I would put on my black clothes, put on my work uniform, go to this restaurant that I would hang out at, usually as a customer, and I became a waiter. And all night, I would have to become friendly with anyone who walked into that door. And at first, of course, it was really hard. I'd have to talk to all kinds of people. Even some B, C-list celebrities from TV shows or movies that we all know would come in from time to time, and I'd have to engage them and talk with them. See, after a while, as hard as it was in the beginning, I began to relax. And by the end of it, I was having such a fun time doing this job, meeting new people. Once I learned what I needed to learn from this experience, I moved on. I got the practice that I needed. Then I was invited to give a TEDx talk. And of course, this is an incredible honor, but at the same time, it's incredibly scary. TED Talks live online forever. It's likely going to be the first thing that comes up when people Google you. There's no room for failure here. This thing is lasting on the World Wide Web. So what did I do? I locked myself in my apartment for 2 weeks leading up, preparing and practicing over and over and over again. And when I delivered it, people were like, oh, you're like a natural at this. Look, I'm glad it looked that way because there was nothing natural about the process that I went through. If they only knew what went on behind the scenes. So look, it never really gets 100% easy, at least not for me, it hasn't. But it does get easier the more you do it, right? The first few videos I did on YouTube, first 15 videos. I had to convince myself to sit down in front of this camera in order to talk to it effectively. But the more you do it, the easier it becomes. There will always be some feeling of nerves, and I've learned to embrace these nerves as a good thing. I've learned that these nerves mean that you actually care about what it is that you're about to do, and that you can learn to use that nervous energy to channel it and deliver a strong message. Number 2, visualize success. I'm a big fan of rehearsing for success. So show up to any speaking event or conversation you're about to have, embodying the feeling of the desired end. So if it's a talk that you're giving in front of others, you can get into the feeling of what success looks and feels like. How would you feel as the most confident, successful version of yourself carrying out this task? What does your audience look like from your vantage point? Visualize them receiving the information as you're delivering it. How does it feel inside them as they're receiving it? Are they resonating with it? Before giving a talk, sometimes I would also go into a bathroom stall and assume like a Superman stance, right? Kind of like a power pose, like I got this, like psych myself into the feeling of strength and success. I think I learned this from a TEDx talk where they advised getting into a power position or a power posture to feel more confident. And then you carry that energy of confidence out with you onto the stage. Now, if it's a sensitive or challenging conversation that you're having one-on-one with a loved one, a friend, or a family member, I imagine both of us are enveloped in a warm light, speaking to each other in loving and understanding tones, visualizing clear and harmonious outcomes. I imagine a warm embrace or a firm handshake to signify that the relationship has gotten stronger as a result of our thoughtful conversation. All of this happens before I move into the conversation, because while I'm having the conversation, I'm carrying that energy of wonderful resolution with me. Number 3, time cap when you're going to have your uncomfortable conversation. Now, if there's something weighing on your heart or your mind, the sooner you are able to share what's on your mind in a healthy and wise way, note those keywords, healthy and wise way, the better. You don't want to have this festering inside you, because when you bottle up your emotions in this way, one of two things can happen. It could either lead to an unhealthy emotional outburst, or physical challenges or illnesses can start to come up as a result of this emotional suppression, right? It's your body's way of saying, we don't want to harbor this inside of us. It needs to come out in a healthy way. I'd advise against having any conversation if you're in an impulsive or overly emotional state, or if the time or the situation doesn't seem appropriate. I'd also advise against having these important conversations via text or email. I know it can be easier to do it that way, but trust me on this one. There is less room for misinterpretation when you do it in person. Take some time to organize your thoughts so that you can have a clear, complete, and loving conversation, so that your delivery and tone are purposeful, removing anything that can be seen as a personal attack and focusing only on bettering the situation at hand. You can write out your main points that you want to address as bullet points, right? So that you can practice your delivery ahead of time. And if you need to bring these bullet points with you, bring them with you. It's not inauthentic to do this. It just means you want to be clear and complete. Now, you don't want to be sitting there reading the bullet points like this instead of having an authentic relating conversation with the person, but having them as a reference point so that you've gotten everything off your chest that you want to. I actually see this as a thoughtful and responsible thing to do. Before a challenging conversation, you can also state your intentions for the conversation up front, so the person knows you're there to better something, right? Or to strengthen the relationship, or to arrive at fair outcomes, whatever the goal is. This also helps ease any tension and drop any defenses or potential blame games that might come up, right? When you state your intentions up front and you're aligned on those intentions, everyone is clear that we're on the same team. We're not against each other. We're working towards a healthy outcome. So set a wise time cap for yourself. Maybe a few days or a week, right? Whatever seems to be the right and wise amount of time to allow yourself to organize what you want to say, but don't wait too long because it's going to introduce other challenges if you do. Now, the fourth strategy is to partner with power through prayer. Prayer is such a powerful tool because it aligns your mind and your actions with divine ideas, right? Such as truthfulness, clarity, completeness of harmonious and successful outcomes. The more you partner with power and prayerfully align with these ideas, the more you are infusing what you are about to do with these wonderfully powerful qualities. One prayer that you can do before giving a talk in front of an audience or having an intimate one-on-one conversation is for your ego to disappear. Because this conversation, as tempting as it might be to make it about you, it's not about you, right? It's about the uplifting ideas that are about to be shared. It's about the wonderful destination that you would like to move towards. Before I have any talk or make any YouTube video, I pray that when I speak, it's the voice of divine love that's speaking, not my voice. That when I appear on stage or on camera like this, it's not me that people are seeing. That it's a picture of truth and love that is being imaged forth. Jesus once advised his disciples that if they don't know what to say when confronted with a difficult situation, do not worry. It will not be you speaking, but the Spirit of your Father speaking through you. If strengthening your voice and communication is something you are looking to achieve as you advance your professional or personal goals, feel free to reach out to me directly via my website, nowirise.com, or through the link in description. I have overcome this fear and I've learned so many lessons along the way, and I would be more than happy to learn more about you and your story and to work with you so that you can communicate with greater ease, clarity, and confidence. I hope this video has been useful to you. If it has been, go ahead and hit the like and subscribe button. It really helps the channel grow and attract people who will find this information beneficial to them. Until next time, may peace, courageous, wise, and loving communication be with you.